Well, good morning. I'm going to start with a little bit of a rear view mirror here, and talk about the last week. We went from, of course, heat wave conditions the latter part of last week to two severe weather outbreaks here over the weekend, and now, thanks to a big Canadian origin air mass, we've had a couple of very, very pleasant days. So just about a little bit of weather for everyone. But I did, my photo today is borrowed from our friends at the National Weather Service Forecast Office in Grand Rapids. This is near Jenison on Sunday, this past Sunday here, the 21st, and some residual damage from the severe thunderstorms that occurred over many parts of the state here on Saturday. I would like just to say a couple words about that. There was severe weather in the southeastern part of the state, an outbreak on Friday evening, and then there was a larger one during the day on Saturday. The primary impacts with the outbreak on Saturday were high winds, microbursts with a line of thunderstorms. You can see part of that line forming here. This is during the middle of the afternoon on Saturday, and you can see the line move from northwest to southeast, and really caused a widespread damage across the state. At the peak, and the numbers are still being tabulated, but at least 500,000 customers, I should say, lost power across the lower peninsula, and the numbers may be more than that. There still are some people without power. Unfortunately, it sounds like they're getting better. That's the outage map. One of the outage maps here from Consumers you see at the bottom. There was one other issue though, that in some parts of the state we had torrential rain with these storms, and on the upper right hand you've got radar estimated precipitation totals, and in particular an area up here in northwestern lower received potentially record-breaking rain. If you're close enough to your screen, you can see the red here indicates 5 inches of rain or more, and there's actually heavier rain in the middle of that, eastern Mason, southern Manistee, and portions of Lake County that were impacted. A little pink spot there, more than 10 inches. We did have at least one report of more than 12 inches of rain in a 12-hour period. And the reason I bring that up is, well, if this verifies correctly, if the observation stands, it would be a new all-time record for not just 12-hour, but 24-hour rainfall for the state of Michigan. And the existing record on the books now goes all the way back to 1914. So one of these things you sort of shake your head at, just an amazing, needless to say, lots of infrastructure damage associated with that. Fortunately, though, that rain was relatively scattered and not widespread, as were the damaging winds. When we look at the last week here, at least in terms of climatology, and then similar, or actually it's almost, I think it is the same image here. Rainfall was highly variable across the state, ranging from, again, more than 10 inches in some cases to less than half an inch in others. And you can see large areas of both the central and eastern UP, as well as eastern lower Michigan here, where we did have less than half an inch. So it really depended on where you were. Mean temperatures, not surprisingly, with the heat wave of the early part of the week, over almost all the state were above normal, and in some cases were much above normal. And especially we had one of the things that was really noteworthy about that very, very hot period last week, high dew point temperatures. We had our dew points up into the upper 70s on Thursday and Friday, and that's as warm as that's as high as dew point temperatures ever get in our part of the world. So it was near an extreme, and obviously it felt that way because of the high humidities and the high temperatures. It could have been worse. Areas to our west and south, the air temperatures were even higher than they were in Michigan, but thanks to some clouds, we didn't get quite as hot as could have been, even though it was extremely uncomfortable. One last thing here about I think it's important to note, especially given some of the late planting, our growing degree day accumulations for the season. This is beginning on the 1st of May, although most people were not able to have anything planted by the 1st of May. But if we do look at that calendar date, given the warmer than normal weather here of the last, especially couple weeks, we have, especially in the southern part of the state, we've almost caught up to normal. And that's not something, given the very, very cool spring, we probably would have anticipated. But again, thanks to this recent warmer weather, at least our degree day totals are closer to normal. Now, you can see as you go in the state here, there is a very strong gradient from south to north. And in the northern part of the state, we still are lagging considerably behind, but it's not as bad as it was 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, certainly. And given the, again, warmer than normal temps and probably warmer than normal weather here in the near future, we'll probably see even less of a deficit by this time next week. So that's sort of where we've been this morning. Just another delightful day, but noticeably warmer today. This big area of high pressure that's over the Ohio Valley is really what has brought us this great stretch of weather. It's almost optimal for weed harvest, but it's optimal just to be outside as well. Relatively cool, low humidities, and certainly dry in most parts of the state. This area of high pressure, though, is in the process of moving to the east, and as it does so, we'll see our winds, especially today, shift around. They've been out of the north for the last couple of days. We'll see those shift around to the southwest and bring in warmer temperatures. It will be several degrees warmer today for a high than it has been over the last couple of days. Most areas will see mid to upper 80s. There will be a chance of a couple isolated showers possible, mainly in northern parts of the state, but as has been the case here over the last day or two, that will be the exception rather than the rule. Most areas will be fair and dry, but noticeably warmer today. Now, as we move into tomorrow at 8 o'clock in the morning here, we have at least more high pressure for the southern part of the state, but we do have the next weather system approaching from the north and west, and that's a weak frontal boundary here. If you can see the map, it's up across areas of Ontario and to the Red River Valley, and moving eastward. That will set off at least the chance for some showers and a thunder shower possible, mainly across northern parts of the state during the day, starting in the western and central UP tomorrow during the day, and then spreading eastward overnight into early Saturday. I think right now, though, that this will be primarily confined to the northern third or so, maybe the northern half of the state. Southern half of the state probably will remain dry. For them, the next chance for rain not coming till probably the end of the weekend or early next week. And I'll move here finally to Saturday morning. You can see, again, if you can see the map, there will be some scattered showers lingering across mainly, again, the northern and northeastern parts of the state on Saturday morning. We'll probably have then some clearing for the latter part of the day that will last into Sunday. And then, again, the next weather system, really the best chance statewide for precip, probably coming on Monday. And then that would be followed by dry weather once again for the middle into latter part of next week. So we are, one thing, if we look at the precipitation gauge here, what's forecast over the next week, it ranges from a half to 1 inch across northern parts of the state to less than half an inch or quarter to half an inch or less across the south. And my own personal opinion on this one, I think it's a little bit aggressive in terms of the precip totals. I would not be surprised to see amounts, well, certainly less than that, or on the lower side of that range. I do think we'll see more rain probable in the northern part of the state than in the south, but we are going to be here for the next week or so, I think, in a fairly dry period in most areas of the state, especially across the south. And the other thing notable, we will see a warming trend beginning today, continuing for the rest of, well, the work week, Friday, Saturday into the weekend, and then leading up until that next chance for the next weather system on Monday. Will cool down a little bit after that, but probably not very much, still remaining near normal. So look for above normal mean temperatures for the next several days, and then back to normal by the early part of next week. In the medium range time frame here, there's a lot of conflicting evidence. Unfortunately, I have to be honest. We do have new outlooks, and they suggest well, a mix of things for mean temperatures here for the first few days of August or the first week of August. They suggest near normal, maybe a little bit above normal mean temperatures, with a mix of precipitation ranging from below normal in the northern part of the state to possibly a little bit above normal down in the southeast. In all honesty, though, I right now there's low confidence in this outlook here. If anything, my guess would be personally, based on what I saw, especially this morning here with medium range, we may be looking at normal, even a little bit cooler than normal conditions, especially during that first week of August, or for a little while with northwesterly flow aloft. And typically for this time of the year, that does translate to normal, or maybe a little bit cooler than normal and a little drier than normal for that, again, for the first week or so of August. We do have some new long lead outlooks I want to talk about here at the very end. Last thing I have, and on the top here for the month of August, you'll see basically the letters EC, which stands for equal chances, which means there really are no forecast direction for either mean temperatures. That's on the left here for the Great Lakes region, or precipitation totals. So basically it's a crapshoot for, at least for the month of August, how things shape up. But as we move further out to the end of the summer and really into the fall season, the outlooks still do suggest normal to above normal or warmer than normal mean temperatures. No direction on precipitation. The only thing I guess noteworthy about that, or other noteworthy piece here, note that they do have wetter than normal conditions still lingering out in areas to our west over the western Corn Belt out into the northern Great Plains. That's been there. That signal has been there for some time, for the last couple months. And at some point, Michigan was even included in a part of that, but it is not now. And so really here looking on for the end of the growing season, at least normal temperatures may be warmer than normal, especially as we move into the end of the summer and early fall. And I think I'll conclude with that, but otherwise by saying, summarizing here, with our outlook warmer and in many instances drier, it's going to be, I think, a great opportunities for certainly for wheat harvest. That's a good thing. Threats for rain coming primarily overnight Friday into Saturday in the northern part of the state, and then statewide again not till Monday. But there will be fewer threats of rainfall than we've seen in much of the growing season thus far. After next Monday, probably not until the end of the week would we see another threat for rainfall, and our temperatures likely will be ranging above or near to above normal levels here for the next week. And that's all I have, Paul. So I'll turn it back to you to see if anyone has any questions.
Thank you, Jeff. I don't see any questions in the chat box. Certainly, it looks like we have an opportunity to have some warmer weather and push this crop across the finish line. At least that's what the outlook is. So with that, I'd like to thank everybody for attending and have a good rest of the day and rest of the week. Thank you.